This is Chris Stadler in Wyoming. I'm going to do a short video here on what we had found at BP today. Now, they had 6 lubes out there with catch issues. We went to the site where there was 5 on one particular site. The 6th one was way out, so it took a while to get there. So the pumper didn't want to go out today to do it, but he watched us and he figured he knew enough that he could go out and fix it tomorrow. 4 out of the 5 on that particular site we were on today, he had actually fixed the catches, and Joe had talked him through that late last week. And what we were doing is seeing if they had any, if the sleeve, this part here, was made correctly or not. So that's what we were inspecting today. Now, the 5th one there on that site that he hadn't messed with, the first thing that we did was we took the cap off, the spring cap off, and there was no spring. And then we looked on the inside, and what we found was that the little lever, the catch lever on the inside of the lube had fallen forward. So the next step, and we showed the pumper this, and he said, yes, that is what the rest of them looked like, the ones that he had fixed. Then we took the T-handle assembly off, and we noticed that this little deal right here was bent over, and the tip of it had been smashed. So what it looked like happened was that the lever had fallen forward during assembly, and when this got tightened, that's when it bent. Because you can get it almost all the way on, and then if you crank down on it with that little lever on the inside tipped forward, it'll end up bending that little nipple. So we replaced this piece with a new one. And we were thinking about how this could happen during assembly, and Joe and I talked about it. And what we think can possibly happen is that after your caps are put on and the lever on the inside is all put together, when you put the T-handle assembly in there, it kind of holds that lever on the inside. I'm going to screw this in so you can see what it looks like on the inside. So you can see the little seat where the spring sits. So if you go ahead and put, during the assembly process, you put the cap and the spring on, but maybe this isn't tightened down all the way. Try to simulate this. Put the spring and the cap in there. Let's say, oh, I forgot to put the O-ring on here. And if this is not tightened up all the way, it doesn't take much before, right there, the lever, I just heard it, flip downward. And the spring's probably flipped out of there. And that's exactly what happened. And what will happen is, if this happens before shipment, during the shipment coming to us, we'll lose that spring completely. So the other way that can happen is not just by unscrewing this and allowing that to fall forward, but let's say if this assembly's not put together all the way, and it gets unscrewed a little bit, then it'll slip out as well. So then of course, to fix that, we use in the field, we use a magnet to kind of hold it in place. I need the spring. And we hold that in place with the magnet. Of course, you need, I don't have the O-ring on here because it's kind of a painted screw it in and out with the O-ring. But this really does need to be, I'm going to screw this all the way in again. Really needs to be in there quite a ways for it to hold everything together. So you can see it's right now. And if this T-handle is in the screwed out position, and then this assembly gets backed off, you can see down inside there. And if it gets backed off for whatever reason, maybe to lube it or whatever, it doesn't take much. You don't have to have that all the way out before that piece inside there will fall down. And it's even less noticeable if you actually have the spring and the cap in there, and that'll, make it slip even easier because it's got the pressure of the spring against it. Some issues that we found in the field, I might as well mention. We had one that leaked. Joe dealt with this. This is BP again, and it was leaking right here. So at this cap, and there's like a compression O-ring and stuff inside there. And he thought, oh, I'll just tighten it up. It's a pretty easy fix. Well, it still was leaking. So what he found was that this O-ring was not in there. So it had, grab this out right here. It had this little piece, but it didn't have the O-ring that slips inside there in it. We repaired one here in the shop that the lever had fallen down in, and the parts were good. This sleeve was good, so it must have been just how they put it together. When I took it all the way apart to try another stem and sleeve, to see if there was any difference, and they had the O-ring, so they had this little plastic piece in there, and then the O-ring on top of that, and of course the O-ring was all screwed up because it got smashed. Another issue that we found is that these O-rings, which go on the cap for the spring and also go on right here, they were fatter than this, and they would be hanging out and split. Now these are the correct size, so we've gotten that taken care of. But just need to be aware in assembly that if you get something with the fatter O-ring, they tend to split and leak. Now I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, one other issue we're having is when this is a shipping issue, I think we need to put stickers on our pallets that say "Do not stack." We get them with those stickers on there. We get them without stickers on there, but they're stacking them, and the stems are getting bent over. This gets knocked because they're putting a pallet on top of it, and it's bending it over. We just had one in this last 20 shipment. We had one that we had to replace this whole assembly, because when this gets bent over, you can't take this out because this goes in from this way. So when this piece gets bent, there's no way to take it out. So we had to replace that whole deal. The other issue that we're getting is these handles, the little T-handle with the locking bolt, they're rattling off during shipment to us. We're getting quite a few of those actually. So I hope this video helps explain what we're going through. Thanks.